back to Art with Alex. Today we are going to be doing a simple line drawing of a tree. So as you can see, we're going to start down here. Okay, we're going to start with some roots, and then once we get higher up to the branches, we are going to do kind of a unique take on a tree, more abstract, meaning that we take a tree, something we see basically every day, and then we make it a little more unique and kind of it's going to look a way that we're not used to it looking. Okay, so as you can see, I added in these spirals, and that's kind of how I made it abstract. All right, so again, all you need today is a pencil and a piece of paper. Any piece of paper you can find. If you have an eraser, great, but you don't necessarily need it. So if you don't have it, don't worry. Pencil and a piece of paper, okay? I'm not even going to color in or shade today. I just really want you to focus on that line drawing and those simple lines that we focused on, I think, in the very first video. Alright, so think back to those lines and really focus on how you're using your pencil and the different lines today as we get started, okay? So, we are going to start at the bottom with the roots. So let's set this aside. Alright, so my roots are going to be probably about this wide, and then my trunk is going to come in a little bit thinner. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make a mark. That's where my left root is going to start, and this is where my right root is going to start, so that I can kind of stay in those guidelines, right? So those are my guidelines, okay? You are going to be sketching like we have talked about before, but I am going to be drawing a little bit darker so that you can see it. Okay, so let's start with this left root. So I'm going to start about a little bit up off of the bottom of the paper, and I'm going to draw just a slightly curving line like that. Okay, so it's not super wavy, but it's not completely straight either. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the exact same line coming up next to it. So that's my first root. And remember, you are sketching lightly, I'm drawing dark so that you can see what's going on. Now, the rest of my roots, yours can look a little different from mine, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving my roots. Okay, they're spreading out. Some can be thinner than others. Some can be longer. Like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my final root on the right side. So it's going to look the same as this one. It's just going to be coming down the opposite direction. Just like that. And we ended about at my line, my mark right there, okay? So those are the roots, okay, the base of my tree. And now what I want you to do is from these roots, I want you to curve in. Go in a little bit more than you think you might want to, okay, so we can make that trunk not too wide. Alright, you can make yours wider or thinner than mine, but I'm going to make mine about this big. So watch what I do. I'm coming in, and I'm just slightly curving, and then I'm curving back out because that's where my branches are going to start. Okay, so those are my roots and my trunk. Okay, now before we get to the fun branches, let's do the ground that the tree is growing out of. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw our line going across here. The line's going to be about here so that it looks like the roots are underneath and the trunk is above the ground. Okay, so I'm going to do a wavy line right about here, and then I'm going to stop right here. And I'm going to draw sort of an invisible line. So I'm going to act like I'm drawing a line, but I'm not. Right? Because we don't want the ground to go over the tree. We want to be able to see all of this. So I'm going to act like I'm drawing. Then I'm going to put my pencil down over here and complete the ground. Just like that. Alright, so now all we have left are those fun branches. So let's get started. I'm going to start on the right side. And again, this curving line is what I'm going to do. Curve. And then at the end of it is when I get to add on my spirals. So let's talk about spirals for a second. If you need to pull out a scrap piece of paper to practice spirals on, go ahead. Alright, so I am going to just continue to come out of the trunk. Spirals get smaller as we go. So getting smaller and then finally ending in that center. Okay, So you can also do spirals coming off the branches like this, overlapping, so you can have one crossing over, all right? You can get creative with it. All right, so our spirals, our lines, are actually going to start to look like branches once we get some more going on, okay? So let's do the left side now. All right, make that one go a little bit lower so that we fill up some more of the page. Do another one coming out of here. So remember, these middle ones can start to come out of this blank space, and I'll tell you what we're going to do about that blank space in just a minute. So I'm just going to start making spirals coming out like this. And remember, you can overlap to add a little bit more interest to it. You can have them coming out of the other branches. All right, I'm going to add one more coming up here. And there we go. Those are all the spirals I'm going to draw today. So as you can see, it started to look like a tree. Those branches really start to make it look like a tree. So what I'm going to do for this part, so this looks a little, you have this blank and then you have these sudden lines starting. So what I'm going to do to make that blend is I'm going to add a little bit of texture, right? So tree trunks usually have bark on them, and bark is not flat, okay? So there's definitely texture to it. So what I'm going to do to kind of add that texture are just a few wavy lines like this. Just randomly coming down the trunk to add that trunk texture, right? Okay, so now all of a sudden, these kind of blend together, right? They're starting to blend together. We don't have that really hard line right here. It's blending together. So that is basically our drawing for today, okay? You guys did an awesome job. I really want you to focus on just that use of your pencil. Don't worry about color, don't worry about shading. I want you to focus on line and pencil. And remember, you can go in and you can add some more unique shapes if you want to. If you want to, you can even add things down here, some decorations maybe. All right, but I really want you to just focus on the simplicity of this line drawing, okay? So here's another little kind of bit different version. All right, so again, you guys did a really awesome job. I know this one was a little more simple, but I wanted you guys to kind of come out of the marker and coloring phase of things and just think about those lines, okay? So one more time, awesome job today, and I will see you next time for a new project.